Hi everyone, I'm Marlene Moore and I'm the creator of the Back to Basics piano method. It's not really a method, it's a lot of curriculum books, but I suppose you could say that the first three books are a method, if you want that word. I prefer the word concept because it is a different kind of concept. Anyway, welcome to our introductory uh, video. There are 38 videos to watch if you're interested in changing your ideas about piano teaching. And this is the introduction, and I thought I would fill you in on just exactly what Back to Basics is all about to see if that's what you might like to learn how to do. Uh, I guess the best way to explain it is that Back to Basics is about halfway between traditional learning and Suzuki education. Most of us have been traditional piano teachers. A few of us have been Suzuki piano teachers. I've done both. Uh, and there's nothing wrong with that. Of course there isn't. But what I've done is I've combined the ideas from both traditional learning and Suzuki education with lots of extras. And some of these extras are memorization, improvisation, composition, uh, rote teaching, and learning how to perform without that terrible performance anxiety that a lot of people get. Most of traditional sight reading, most of traditional teaching is sight reading, isn't it? Uh, and I feel that this is why many students and many teachers cannot do and cannot teach playing from memory. They seem to think that playing from memory is not even important anymore. And I've talked with so many teachers who have told me why, that they just thought that sight reading was more important. It is important, but it's not the whole picture. Let's put it that way. It's not the whole picture. And I think it's why a lot of students can't play from memory. They have a problem playing by ear. Uh, Most of them don't know how to improvise, and very few know how to compose music. You know, people think that composing music is just for gifted people who have a good ear. That's not true. That's not true at all. But that's what people think. Anyway, what would you learn if you watched these 38 videos? What will you learn? Well, you'll learn something called replacement dialogue, the dialogue of how we speak to children and older people too. Rote teaching, staccato playing for beginners. We start exactly right off the bat with staccato playing. Proper technique and teaching tips. For one thing, keyboard theory, keyboard harmony. Sequential learning, that means one step at a time in sequence. Also, one piece at a time that is added to the next piece. We have like an easy piece, and then something that would be a little more difficult, and then something new added each time. So it's in sequence as far as all of the pieces for books 1 to 10. They are all in sequence. So we do sequential learning, one step at a time, also for memorization. Very, very important. We're always saying that phrase, you know, do everything one step at a time, but we don't always do that, do we? Well, that's what this teaching program is all about, doing things one step at a time when the student is ready. And something, you'll also learn something I call primary articulation, which I refer to in teaching sight reading and secondary articulation, which I refer to the concept of memorization and what happens in the brain when all of this takes place. We'll talk about dealing with parents, and we'll talk about sound before symbols and sound before sight. There's two different things here. Sound before symbols, sound before notes, and sound before sight is different even in the other pieces. We're going to do analysis of books 1 to 10, how to teach each piece, improvisation, pedaling, performing, sight reading, and rhythms. All of those will be things that will be stressed in the teacher training program in all of these videos. By the way, these videos are free. They're totally free. And why did I make them free? Well, I wanted people to be able to teach well. That's why. Now, the books are not free. It took me 35 years to write these books, so no, the books are not free. And let's talk about the books. There are 10 curriculum books. I have them right here. They're very nice. Book 1 is the beginner. Starts with staccato playing. Book 2 is a lot of staccato playing too, and some legato. And this is, if you want to call it a method book, 1, 2, and 3 could be called a method book. Book 3 is the last part of what you might think of as a method book. Book 4 is getting into early intermediate. Book 5 is intermediate. Book 6 is more advanced intermediate. Book 7 is advanced intermediate. Book 8 is early advanced. Book 9 is advanced. And book 10 is advanced. As I said, there's 38 teacher training videos, and that was necessary to be able to teach how to teach each piece and each concept that is contained within those 10 books. Now, in addition to the 10 curriculum books, you will need the companion books. Now, you don't need them right away, but these are the books that go with books 1, 2, and 3 for now. They're called music maps, and they're called music maps on purpose because I always refer to the idea of sight reading as a map. It is a map. I know that because I'm a composer. I do lots of maps. Book 2 is the same idea, a little bit harder. Book 3 is intermediate. So it's postponed a little bit longer. And when do we know how to use these books? Well, all students are different, so the student will usually let you know when they need to. Some students need this one. It's called Playwright, Book 1. This is a writing book. See the note, hear the note, find the note, play the note, say the note. That kind of a book. Same idea in Book 2, Playwright, except that it is a little more difficult. Not much, but a little bit more. And then this book is for the children who have problems with rhythm. Adults too. I keep saying children, but you know, these books are also for adults. They work with adults. And this one is to do with rhythms. And it too is a writing book. It's done at the lesson. All of these books are done at the lesson. You don't just send them home with the book and do it for homework. You need to watch them, because if you send them home and say do page 10, they'll just write out all the notes and bring it back. You don't want that. You want to teach it in an auditory style, which we'll talk about later. Then I would consider this one of the most important books. This is a book on improvisation. It's called Making Melodies. And teachers swear by this book. Oh, they need this book. This is one of my best-selling books because it is the introduction to the concept of improvisation. Also, this one, called Making Harmonies, is the second idea in improvisation, leading to composition. This will help everyone, teachers and students, to learn composition without an awful lot of theory. This is all based on ear training, isn't it? Lots of ear training. I'll tell you a secret. I sell more of these books to teachers that want to learn how to improvise and how to compose music. I sell more of these to teachers than I do for their students because they've never learned how. They've never learned how to improvise anything or to compose anything or to play by ear or to train their ear. It's so sad. It's so sad. And why is that? Why haven't they learned that? Why, if you're one of those people, there's not all, but there's an awful lot that haven't learned any of this. Do you know why? My guess is because your teacher taught you one thing, basically, and that was to sight read. I don't know. It needs an awful lot more. I think a musical training needs to have all of these things: memorization, and sight reading, and composition, improvisation, theory. All of those things are so important. It has to be the whole package. And that's what I want to give you in the videos, is the whole package. When the students get a lot older, this is just a composer's notebook. It's just staff paper. Some of them get so excited about composing music, they want their own book. They start to compose little songs, little tunes, and that's great. And our last book, which is a real biggie, and it's a real big subject too, it's called Performing Without Fear. This is a biographical book that I wrote to talk about my journey through stage fright. I was a concert pianist, and I had terrible stage fright, and I got over it. Why? Because I had a huge desire to get over it, and nobody could tell me how to get over it, but I figured it out. And that's what this book is all about. And it's also about the evolution of the thinking of how to develop the Back to Basics piano program. And it is about the people that I trained pretty much all over North America in workshops, people that had terrible stage fright, terrible performance anxiety, and I helped them to overcome their performance anxiety. So there are case histories in here of people who got through stage fright. It's not just me that got through stage fright, all kinds of people did. And then that continues into the idea of how do you teach this to your students? So this is probably the most important book I've ever written. I do hope that it helps you. It's helped an awful lot of thousands and thousands of people. Okay, so that's the books. It's a lot. It seems like a lot, but I think they're all necessary. Where do you get these books? J.W. Pepper. And I will leave the full address on the comment section outside of this video. So, if you decide that you want to teach this, if you want to learn about this, then you watch the 38 videos. That's what you do. And you take it one step at a time. When you're ready, you can contact me and you will be admitted to the private Facebook group that we have. after you've purchased your first 5 books, the curriculum books, 1 to 5, when you have those books, then you're ready to watch your first 16 videos. The books 1 to 5 will get you through to video number 16. So then you're ready for our private Facebook group, and that's very important. So when you've got your 5 books from J.W. Pepper, and after you've viewed, say, 2 videos, so you know what we're talking about, then go to the Facebook group. It's called Back to Basics Books, and I will let you into our group. And what happens there? Well, the reason why we have that group is so that I can give you more personalized help. And the graduate teachers can also give you more personalized help. Because when you think of it, this is very different. This is different from how we all learned. And so a lot of teachers are really enjoying this group because they can ask questions, they can do comments, they can get help. Not only from me, but from the teachers that have graduated, that have done this whole program. How long does it take to do the program? Well, if you figure out 1/2 hour per day times 38 videos, if you watched a 1/2 hour video every day, you could do it in a little over a month. And I have one teacher who did all of that, and then she went back and she took notes. She said she learned even more the second time she went through it, and she did notes. Now, don't forget when you're applying to get into the Facebook group called Back to Basics Books, that you answer all the questions, because you cannot be admitted unless I know who you are, unless you have answered all the questions. So please do that. Make sure, write that down, that you have to answer all the questions, before you get into the group. That is, if you want more personalized training, and most people do. Most people want all the training and ideas and help that they can get. I mean, we are teachers. We need to have a lot of knowledge at our fingertips. Play on words, eh? Fingertips. Alrighty. Now, if you wish to become a certified Back to Basics piano teacher, and most people do, what you do is you write an exam to become a certified Back to Basics piano teacher. You need to play for me 1 piece out of book 9 or book 10. 1 piece. And the reason for that is I want to hear you play. I want to make sure that you can play before you are certified. And there is an exam. It has 10 questions. All of the questions on the exam are to do with the 38 teacher training videos. There are no surprise questions. So if you watch the videos and take notes, you would have no problem with that exam whatsoever. Most teachers do the exam, and it has taken some teachers 6 months to get to where they want to. It has taken some 1 year, who are extremely busy people. I have one fellow who took 2 years. That's okay. That's okay. At the present time, we have almost 70 piano teachers who have chosen to become certified. And what happens is that you do the exam. It's all done on Messenger, and I mark your exam, and whatever you get, if you've got more than 60 marks, you pass and you get certified. So I send you your certificate. Now, here is the certificate. It's a very nice certificate, and it means that you have passed all of the questions, you've given all the answers for your exam, and you have played for me. And I sign that and send it to you. You also get this engraved Back to Basics Medal of Honor. It has Back to Basics on the back. I'll show you. I'll hold it up here. It's got Back to Basics written on the back. And on the front, you see that? Yeah, there we go. Beautiful piano. And it's not a cheap thing. It's a very, very nice medal. And people like this medal. So you get one of these, and you also get a prize, a surprise. So that should be worth working towards. There's an awful lot of material in here. So if you've gotten mixed up, go back to the beginning and watch this video again. So you're saying, well, you know, how am I qualified to do all of this? Well, I'm a composer. I've written over 300 pieces for piano and other instruments. I'm a former concert pianist. I was a concert pianist for 20 years. I taught all levels of piano for 50 years. That's a long time. And for 15 years of that, I was a traditional piano teacher. For another 15 years, I was a Suzuki piano teacher. And for 20 years after that, I taught Back to Basics piano and worked all the bugs out of it before it came into its final printing. And then in that 50-year time period, I spent 20 years as a pedagogy teacher. So I learned a bit that way. And I'm the author of 3 books. I've written 3 books. And I created this video course for you. So if you have questions, let me know. You can message me on Facebook. You can ask questions in the comment section of this video. And I do hope you enjoy the 38 teacher training videos. Oh, there's one thing I should mention to you that has come up quite often. The ideas presented in the videos will not work with other books. So if you're thinking, well, I can use all these ideas and still have piano adventures or whatever, it won't work because it's not the same. It will backfire. I found out about this recently. One teacher told me that she had tried all the ideas, but it hadn't been working for her. And I said, well, how many books do you have? And she said, oh, I didn't get any of the books. And I said, well, what books are you using? And she said, I'm using Faber and Piano Adventures. And I said, well, they're not written for that. Those books, Faber and Piano Adventures and all the rest of them are lovely books, but they are sight reading books. These are not sight reading books. Only part of them are sight reading. A lot of them are very, very different concept. So don't try the ideas on other books. It won't work, okay? So bring your questions to me. That's my job. And I hope to see you in the Facebook group eventually. It's called Back to Basics Books. Don't forget to answer the questions. Okay? Thank you. Bye for now.